The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the most beautiful place in the known universe. Its walls were made of living crystal that sang soft music when light touched them. Its floor was carved from the heart of a dead star. For 60,000 years, the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy had met here to decide the fate of worlds. Today, they had gathered to discuss a problem. A very small problem, they believed. High Arbiter Velkoth stood at the center of the hall. He was a Sindari, a creature of silver metal skin and cold, calculating eyes. His species had ruled the council for 10,000 years. They were logical. They were patient. They did not make mistakes. "We have detected a new species," Velkoth announced. His voice echoed through the crystal chamber. "They come from a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star. They call themselves humans." The council members shifted in their seats. New species appeared every few centuries. They were always the same. Primitive, afraid, easy to control. "What makes them worth our attention?" asked Representative Mulvex of the Krithani, a being made of living shadow and ancient hunger. Velkoth's silver face showed something rare. Confusion. "They have developed faster than light travel." The chamber fell silent. "That is impossible," said Ambassador Thrixah of the Velmori. He was a tall creature with pale blue skin and 4 arms that never stopped moving. "Our models show that species require at least 8,000 years to develop such technology." "How long did these humans take?" 300 years, Velkoth said. The silence grew heavier. "There must be an error," Thrixah insisted. "Perhaps they found old technology from a dead civilization. Perhaps they were given help by—" "There is no error," Velkoth cut him off. "We have checked 17 times. These humans developed everything themselves. And there is more. They have begun colonizing planets in the outer regions, planets that we have marked as reserved territory." Now the council members began to speak all at once. Their voices rose in anger and fear. Reserved territory was sacred. Those worlds belonged to the council. They were meant for future expansion, for resource extraction, for the great plans that would take millions of years to complete. A primitive species had no right to touch them. Velkoth raised one silver limb and the chamber fell silent again. "I propose we send a diplomatic fleet to deliver our terms. These humans will submit to council governance. They will surrender all colonial holdings. They will accept guidance status for the next 10,000 years. And if they refuse?" Mulvex asked, shadows swirling around his form. Velkoth's cold eyes showed nothing. "Then we will do what we have always done. We will remove them." The vote was unanimous. 3 days later, Ambassador Thrixah stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Eternal Judgment. Around him, 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and entered the solar system of the humans. Thrixah looked at the viewscreen with contempt. The human sun was ordinary. Their planets were ordinary. He had seen 1,000 systems like this one. In a few hours, he would add another species to the long list of civilizations the council had conquered. "Ambassador," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a signal from the 3rd planet. They are asking us to stop at the edge of their system." Thrixah laughed. It was a cold sound, like ice breaking. "They are asking us? How amusing. Tell them we will stop where we choose." The fleet moved deeper into the system. They passed a red planet covered in dust. They passed a belt of rocks floating in the darkness. And then, they saw it. Earth. It was a blue and green jewel hanging in the black void. White clouds swirled across its surface. Thrixah had to admit it was pretty, in a simple way. He wondered how pretty it would look when it was burning. "Ambassador, we are detecting a small station in orbit," his sensor officer reported. "There appears to be one life form aboard. They are requesting communication. One life form, one station, no weapons, no fleet." Thrixah smiled. These humans were even more pathetic than he had expected. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let us hear what this primitive has to say." The viewscreen flickered, and Thrixah saw his first human. She was small. Compared to the Velmori, compared to the Sindari, compared to any proper species, she was tiny. Her skin was a warm brown color. Her hair was black and cut short. She wore a simple uniform of dark cloth with silver decorations on her shoulders. But it was her eyes that made Thrixah pause. They were dark brown, almost black, and they held no fear, no confusion, no awe at the massive fleet filling her sky. She was smiling. "Welcome to Terran space," the human said. Her voice was calm and steady. "I am Admiral Helena Vance of the Terran Navy. I have been asked to receive you." Thrixah recovered quickly. He had seen brave primitives before. Bravery meant nothing against superior firepower. "I am Ambassador Thrixah of the Galactic Council," he announced. "I have come to deliver terms to your people. You will surrender all colonial holdings beyond this system. You will accept council governance over your civilization. You will submit to 10,000 years of guidance while we teach you how to properly exist in the galaxy." He paused, letting his words sink in. "If you refuse, your world will burn. Your colonies will be destroyed. Your species will be erased from history. You have 12 hours to accept." The human woman listened without expression. When Thrixah finished, she tilted her head slightly, like a curious animal. "That was quite a speech," she said. "Did you practice it?" Thrixah felt something he had not felt in centuries. Anger. "You dare to mock me? Do you not understand what I am offering? This is your only chance to survive." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Admiral Vance said. "You came here with 300 ships, expecting to find frightened primitives who would fall on their knees and beg for mercy. You thought we would tremble at your power. You thought this would be easy." She took a step closer to her camera. Her smile did not fade. "I'm afraid you have made a terrible mistake," she said softly. Thrixah felt a chill run through his body. He told himself it was the temperature of the bridge. It was not fear. Velmori did not feel fear. "The mistake is yours, human," he said, but his voice was not as steady as before. "You are alone. You have no fleet. You have no weapons. What can you possibly do against us?" Admiral Vance looked at him for a long moment. Then she laughed. It was not a cold laugh like his. It was warm and genuine, like she had just heard a very good joke. "What can we do?" she repeated. "Ambassador, you ask the wrong question. The question you should ask is this: what have we already done?" She leaned forward. "You have 12 hours to leave our space. After that, we will not be so polite. I suggest you use that time wisely." The screen went dark. Thrixah stood frozen on his bridge. His officers looked at him with uncertain eyes. For the first time in his long career, he did not know what to do. Behind him, Earth continued to spin slowly in the darkness, and somewhere down there, humanity was waiting. Ambassador Thrixah did not sleep that night. He paced the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth turn slowly below. His officers avoided his eyes. They had all heard the human woman's words. They had all seen her smile. But Thrixah was not worried. He was angry. How dare this primitive species speak to him that way? How dare they make threats against the Galactic Council? He ordered his fleet to move closer to Earth. He wanted the humans to see his ships filling their sky. He wanted them to understand what real power looked like. But something strange happened. Nothing. Earth did not react. There were no emergency broadcasts, no panic in the streets. Thrixah watched the planet's communication signals with growing confusion. The humans were talking about sports. They were discussing the weather. A famous singer had released a new song, and everyone seemed very excited about it. The alien fleet in their sky was barely mentioned at all. They must be in shock, Thrixah told himself. They cannot process what is happening. Their primitive minds cannot understand the danger. But deep inside, a small voice whispered another possibility. What if they were not afraid, because they had no reason to be afraid? Thrixah pushed that thought away. After 20 hours, he finally received a response to his demands. It was a short message from something called the Terran Foreign Ministry. The message said that Earth's leaders were very busy and would meet with him when they had time, perhaps in a few days, perhaps next week. They would let him know. Thrixah read the message 3 times. He could not believe what he was seeing. He had brought 300 warships to their doorstep. He had threatened to destroy their entire civilization. And they had told him to wait. It was an insult beyond anything he had ever experienced. He immediately sent a report back to the Galactic Council. He described the humans as arrogant and delusional. He said they clearly did not understand the danger they faced. He recommended a demonstration of power to teach them proper respect. High Arbiter Velkoth agreed. The order came quickly. Thrixah was to send a portion of his fleet to attack a human colony. Not Earth itself, not yet. Just a small settlement in another star system. A warning shot. Once the humans saw their people dying, they would learn to behave properly. Thrixah smiled when he received the order. Finally, These primitives would understand. He chose the target carefully. A mining colony called New Brisbane, located on a moon in the Tau Ceti system. 40,000 humans lived there. They extracted minerals from the rock and sent them back to Earth. It was a simple place, far from home, with no defenses that his sensors could detect. It was perfect. Thrixa sent 50 warships. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a continent. 50 ships could crack a planet in half if needed. For a small mining colony, it was overwhelming force. "Make it quick," he ordered the fleet commander. "Destroy the colony completely. Leave no survivors. Let the humans see what happens to those who defy the Council." The 50 ships jumped to faster than light speed and vanished into the darkness between stars. Thrixa waited and waited. The attack should have taken less than 1 hour. The fleet would arrive, destroy the colony, and return with images of the destruction. Simple, efficient, final. But 1 hour passed, and there was no word. 2 hours passed. Then 3, then 6. Thrixa stood on his bridge, watching the empty space where his ships should have appeared. His communications officers sent signal after signal into the void. There was no response. After 12 hours, Thrixa felt something cold growing in his chest. It was a feeling he had not experienced in a very long time. It was fear. 50 warships had simply disappeared. He sent a message to the Council, reporting the situation. The response came immediately. High Arbiter Velkoth was concerned but not panicked. Perhaps the ships had experienced technical problems. Perhaps there was interference with communications. Scout ships would be sent to investigate. The scouts arrived at Tau Ceti 3 days later. What they found changed everything. New Brisbane was untouched. The mining colony sat peacefully on its moon, lights shining in the darkness. Humans went about their daily work. Children played in the underground parks. Nothing had been damaged. Nothing had been destroyed. And orbiting around the colony were 50 Council warships. They were completely intact. Every system was functional. Every crew member was alive and healthy. The scouts approached carefully, expecting a trap. But there was no trap. The ships simply floated there, silent and still. When the scouts boarded the first vessel, they found the crew confused and afraid. They had no memory of the past 16 hours. The last thing they remembered was preparing to fire on the colony. Then there was nothing. A blank space in their minds. And when they checked their ships, they discovered the truth. Every weapon had been removed. Not destroyed, not damaged. Removed. Cut out of the ships with perfect precision. As if by a surgeon's blade. The same was true for the faster-than-light drives. Gone. Vanished. The ships could not fight. They could not run. They were completely helpless. Floating beside the stranded fleet was a small probe. When the scouts approached, it activated. A human face appeared on their screens. It was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. But those eyes were not kind now. They were hard as stone. "This is Director Marcus Cole of Terran Naval Intelligence," the man said. "Please deliver the following message to your Galactic Council." He paused, and the scouts felt their blood turn cold. "We have been watching you for a very long time. We cracked your communications encryption 300 years ago. We have had agents in your systems for 2 centuries. We know about the subjugation protocols. We know about the harvest worlds. We know about the species you have enslaved and the civilizations you have destroyed." Director Cole leaned forward, and his voice became soft and dangerous. "We know everything." The scouts stood frozen as the message continued. "You have 1 solar cycle to withdraw all your forces from Terran space. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. It is a statement of fact. If you remain, we will take action. And unlike your attack on our colony, our response will not be so gentle." The recording flickered. "You sent 50 warships to murder 40,000 innocent people. We stopped you without killing a single member of your crews. We could have destroyed them all. We could have turned your ships into dust and scattered your atoms across the void. But we chose mercy." Director Cole's eyes seemed to look directly at each scout. "Do not mistake our mercy for weakness. You have 1 chance. Use it wisely." The probe went dark. The scouts returned to the fleet with their report. Ambassador Thrixa listened in silence. His blue skin had turned pale. His 4 hands trembled at his sides. Somewhere out there, hidden in the darkness of space, was a power that could disable 50 warships without firing a single shot. A power that had watched the Council for centuries. a power that knew all their secrets, and Thrixah had threatened to destroy their world. For the first time in his life, the ambassador understood that he was not the predator in this hunt, he was the prey. The Citadel of Unity had not seen such chaos in 10,000 years. Council representatives shouted at each other across the crystal chamber. Accusations flew like knives. The Krithani blamed the Sindari for the failed attack. The Velmori blamed the Krithani for not providing better intelligence. Everyone blamed everyone else. High Arbiter Velkoth stood at the center of the storm, his silver face showing no emotion. But inside, his logical mind was racing. 50 warships had been defeated without a fight. Crews had been captured and released without harm. Weapons and engines had been surgically removed. This should not be possible. Silence, Velkoth commanded. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. The chamber fell quiet. We gain nothing from pointing fingers at each other. We need information. We need to understand what we are dealing with. We are dealing with primitives, shouted Representative Dralkun of the Morvathi, a species of giant insects with hard shells and sharp claws. They have been lucky, nothing more. One strike against their homeworld, and they will crumble. One strike against their homeworld, Velkoth repeated slowly. You would risk our remaining fleet on the same strategy that just failed? Dralkun clicked his mandibles angrily but said nothing. Velkoth turned to his advisors. Bring me everything we have on these humans, every report, every scan, every piece of information we have collected. I want to know what we missed. The research took 3 days. 3 days of digging through old files and forgotten databases. 3 days of comparing notes and checking sources. And when Velkoth finally saw the complete picture, he understood that the Council had made a terrible error. The humans had not been lucky. They had been planning. The first sign came from the Sindari archives. 300 years ago, long before humans had left their planet, strange signals had been detected near the edges of Council space. The signals were dismissed as natural phenomena. No species could develop interstellar communication that quickly. The signals were human. 200 years ago, small ships had been spotted in remote sectors. They were fast and strange, using technology that no one recognized. When patrol vessels tried to intercept them, the ships simply vanished. Again, the reports were dismissed. Sensor ghosts, equipment malfunctions. The ships were human. 100 years ago, the Council had noticed something odd in their communications network. Messages were being copied. Encrypted files were being accessed. Someone was reading their most secret documents. An investigation found nothing. The activity was blamed on internal spies. The spies were human. Velkoth stared at the evidence with growing horror. The humans had been watching the Council for centuries. They had listened to every conversation. They had read every plan. They knew about the subjugation protocols, the rules for conquering primitive species. They knew about the harvest worlds, planets where conquered races were forced to work until they died. They knew about the mass extinctions, the cultural erasures, the systematic destruction of any species that might one day become a threat. They knew everything, and they had prepared. The intelligence reports continued to arrive, each one worse than the last. The humans did not have 12 colonies, as the Council had believed. They had over 400. Their settlements were hidden in regions of space that Council maps marked as uninhabitable. Dead systems, dangerous nebulae, places no sane species would try to colonize. The humans had colonized them anyway. Their population was not measured in millions, as the Council had assumed. It was measured in billions, tens of billions, spread across hundreds of worlds, building and growing and preparing for a war that they knew would eventually come. And their technology was terrifying. Council scientists analyzed the remains of the probes the humans had left behind. The results made no sense. The materials were impossible. The energy signatures were impossible. The engineering was so advanced that the scientists could not even understand how some of it worked. One senior researcher, a Sindari named Velthax who had studied alien technology for 3,000 years, submitted a simple report. We are children playing with sticks. They are gods playing with thunder. Velkoth read every report. He studied every analysis. And when he was finished, he called an emergency meeting of the full council. We have been deceived, he announced. His voice was heavy with a weight he had never carried before. The humans did not stumble into space like every other primitive species. They ran. They hid. They watched us for centuries while pretending to be weak. He projected images onto the crystal walls. Maps of human territory, images of their hidden colonies, estimates of their military power. This is not a new species finding its way in the galaxy, Velkoth said. This is an empire. A Terran empire that has been growing in secret for longer than some of our members have been spacefaring. The chamber was silent. Even the Morvathi had stopped clicking. Their technology is beyond our understanding. Their military strength is beyond our calculations. And they have complete knowledge of our weaknesses. Velkoth paused. We cannot defeat them. Then what do we do? Asked Thrixa. The ambassador had returned from Earth in disgrace, but he was still a voice in the council. We cannot simply surrender to primitives. They are not primitives, Velkoth said quietly. They never were. That was what they wanted us to believe. He brought up one final image. It was from the human probe, showing Director Marcus Cole's face frozen at the moment he had delivered his warning. Look at his eyes, Velkoth said. Do you see fear? Do you see uncertainty? No. You see patience. You see confidence. You see a species that has been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The council stared at the human face. It was so small, so soft, so fragile-looking. And yet behind those calm eyes was a civilization that had outsmarted the oldest powers in the galaxy. We have two choices, Velkoth continued. We can fight and be destroyed, or we can negotiate and hope that they are merciful. Merciful, Dralkun laughed bitterly. After what we planned to do to them, after we tried to kill their people, they spared 50 crews who were sent to commit murder, Velkoth reminded him. They could have killed them all. They chose not to. Perhaps there is a chance. The vote was long and painful. Many council members could not accept the idea of bowing to a younger species, but the mathematics were clear. The probabilities were undeniable. In the end, the vote passed. The council would seek peace. Velkoth sent the message himself. It was short and simple. The Galactic Council requested a meeting. The Galactic Council was willing to discuss terms. The response came within the hour. Admiral Helena Vance appeared on his screen, still wearing that same calm smile. We accept, she said. Come to Earth. Come alone. And we will show you who we really are. Velkoth looked at the human woman who had faced 300 warships without fear. He thought about everything he had learned in the past few days, and he wondered if the council was ready to see the truth. He suspected they were not, but they had no other choice. High Arbiter Velkoth traveled to Earth alone, as requested. His personal shuttle crossed the void between stars while he sat in silence, thinking about what he would find. For 60,000 years, he had been a leader. He had commanded fleets. He had crushed rebellions. He had ended civilizations with a single order. Now he was going to beg. When his shuttle entered the Sol system, he was greeted by a human escort. 2 small ships appeared beside him, sleek and fast and strange. They led him past the red planet, past the blue world that had caused so much trouble, to a station orbiting the system's largest moon. Admiral Helena Vance was waiting for him when he arrived. She looked the same as before. Small, fragile, human. But Velkoth had learned not to trust appearances. Behind that soft exterior was a mind that had helped build an empire in secret. Welcome to Luna Station, High Arbiter, she said. Her voice was polite but not warm. We have prepared a presentation for you. We thought you might like to understand who you tried to conquer. Velkoth followed her through clean white corridors. Human workers passed them, going about their business. Some stared at the tall, silver alien. Most did not. He was just another visitor. Nothing special. They entered a large room filled with screens and displays. Director Marcus Cole was there, along with several other humans in military uniforms. They nodded at Velkoth but did not bow. They did not show respect. Velkoth realized he would have to earn it. Please sit, Admiral Vance said, gesturing to a chair designed for his body. Someone had taken the time to prepare for his comfort. A small kindness. He was not sure what it meant. The lights dimmed, and the presentation began. Let me tell you about humanity, Director Cole said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Let me tell you how we became what we are. Images appeared on the screens. A blue and green world, seen from space. Earth, in its early days. 4 billion years ago. Life began on our planet, Cole explained. Simple cells in warm oceans, For billions of years, nothing much happened. Then, suddenly, everything changed. Life exploded in complexity. Creatures filled the seas, plants covered the land, and then came the extinctions. The screens showed images of ancient creatures, massive reptiles with teeth like knives, strange fish with armored bodies, forests of trees unlike anything that existed today. 5 times our world nearly died, Cole continued. Asteroids struck the surface, volcanoes filled the sky with poison, ice covered the continents. Each time, most life was destroyed. Each time, the survivors evolved to become stronger. Velkoth watched in silence. His species had faced challenges, of course, but nothing like this. Our ancestors were small mammals, hiding from giant reptiles, Cole said. When the Great Extinction came, when the sky burned and the world froze, the reptiles died. But we survived. We came out of our hiding places. We looked at a broken world, and we decided to claim it. More images. Strange creatures that walked on 2 legs. Apes with clever hands and hungry eyes. We evolved intelligence as a survival tool, Cole explained. Our world was not kind to us. It did not give us armor or poison or great strength. It gave us minds, and we used those minds to become the most dangerous predators on our planet. The images changed again. Now they showed humans, real humans, living in caves, hunting with wooden spears, wearing animal skins. We were never safe, Cole said softly. There was never a time when we could rest. Ice ages came, and we survived. Plagues came, and we survived. We fought with lions and bears and wolves, and we won. We fought with each other, and whoever survived became stronger. Velkoth leaned forward. He had studied many species. None had a history like this. This is important, Admiral Vance said, stepping forward. This is what makes us different from every other species your council has conquered. We were forged in fire. We grew up in a universe that was trying to kill us. Every day of our existence was a war for survival. The screens showed more history. Ancient cities, great empires, wars that covered continents. Velkoth saw weapons of increasing power. Swords, cannons, bombs, and finally, nuclear fire. 200 years before we left our planet, we discovered how to split atoms, Cole said. We built weapons that could destroy cities in a single flash. And then we pointed those weapons at each other. The image showed a mushroom cloud rising over a ruined city. We nearly destroyed ourselves, Cole admitted. We came within minutes of ending our own species. The entire world stood on the edge of death. Velkoth felt something strange. He felt respect. But we did not die, Admiral Vance said. We chose to step back from the edge. We chose to survive. And we learned something important from that experience. What did you learn? Velkoth asked. It was the first time he had spoken. Vance looked at him with those dark, calm eyes. We learned that we were our own worst enemy. If we could survive ourselves, we could survive anything. The presentation continued. It showed humanity reaching for the stars, building colonies, discovering other life in the galaxy, and then, finding the truth about the Galactic Council. We found records of your subjugation protocols, Cole said. We found evidence of the species you had destroyed. We realized what would happen when you finally noticed us. And you hid, Velkoth said. We prepared, Vance corrected. There is a difference. We built our colonies in places you would never look. We developed technologies you could not understand. We placed agents in your systems to watch your movements. And we waited. Waited for what? For this moment, Vance said. For the day when you would come to threaten us, and we would have to show you what we really are. Velkoth sat in silence for a long moment. He looked at the humans around him. They were so small, so soft, and yet they had outplayed the oldest civilization in the galaxy. Your species is remarkable, he said finally. You are survivors in a way we have never encountered. But I must ask the question that my council fears most. What do you intend to do with us? Admiral Vance and Director Cole exchanged a look. Something passed between them. An understanding. That depends on you, Vance said. We know what your council has done. We know about the harvest worlds. We know about the slave species. We know about the billions who have suffered and died under your rule. She stepped closer to Velkoth. We have the power to destroy you. Our fleets could burn every council world to ash. Our weapons could end your civilization in a matter of weeks. Her voice was quiet but hard as steel. We have every reason to want revenge for what you plan to do to us. Velkoth felt the cold certainty of death creeping up his spine. But we will not do that, Vance said. Because we have learned something that your council never understood. True strength is not about destruction. It is about choice. She held out her hand. A strange human gesture. We are offering you a choice, High Arbiter. Come with us. See our worlds. Meet our people. And then return to your council with our terms. Terms for peace, not surrender. Terms for a new future, not an end. Velkoth looked at the human hand. So small, so fragile. And yet it held the fate of his entire civilization. Slowly, carefully, he reached out with one silver limb and accepted the gesture. Show me, he said. High Arbiter Velkoth spent 30 days traveling through human space. He visited their hidden colonies. He walked through their cities. He spoke with their scientists and artists and soldiers. And with each passing day, his understanding of humanity grew deeper. They were not what he had expected. On the colony world of New Eden, he saw humans working together to transform a dead planet into a garden. They planted forests in places where nothing had grown before. They filled empty seas with life. They looked at wasteland and saw possibility. On the forge world of Prometheus, he saw their technology in action. Massive shipyards stretched across the sky, building vessels of impossible design. Scientists manipulated matter at the atomic level, creating materials that should not exist. Engineers bent the laws of physics until they broke. On the art world of Calliope, he saw their creativity. Great museums held the treasures of 100 cultures. Musicians played songs that made him feel emotions he did not know he had. Writers told stories of triumph and tragedy that moved him to silence. And everywhere he went, he saw the same thing. Diversity. Humans came in so many forms, different sizes, different colors, different beliefs. They argued with each other constantly. They disagreed about everything. They fought over ideas and politics and art and love. And yet, somehow, they worked together. Somehow, their chaos became strength. Their differences became unity. Their arguments became progress. Velkoth had ruled the Sindari for 10,000 years. His species valued logic, order, and control. They believed that the best civilization was one where everyone thought the same way. Humanity showed him another path. On his last day, Admiral Helena Vance took him to a small planet on the edge of Terran space. It was a quiet world, covered in gentle hills and silver forests. They walked together through the trees as the sun set. Why did you show me all of this? Velkoth asked. You could have simply dictated your terms. You have the power to force us to accept anything. Power is not the same as wisdom, Vance replied. If we forced you to accept our terms, you would resent us. You would look for ways to betray us. The peace would be built on fear, and fear does not last. She stopped at the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast valley. The sky was turning orange and purple as the stars sank below the horizon. We wanted you to understand us, she continued. We wanted you to see that we are not monsters. We are not conquerors. We are just people, trying to survive in a universe that has never been kind to us. And yet you could have become conquerors, Velkoth said. You have the strength. You have the numbers. You could rule the galaxy. We could, Vance agreed. And we would become exactly like you. We would become the thing we fear most. She turned to face him. We spent 10,000 years learning how to stop destroying ourselves. We are not about to start destroying others. Velkoth was silent for a long moment. What are your terms? He asked finally. Simple ones, Vance said. The subjugation protocols end. Forever. No more conquering primitive species. No more forced guidance. Every civilization has the right to develop on its own path. And the harvest worlds? They become free. We will help you transition to fair trade and willing labor. It will take time, but it can be done. And the council itself? Vance smiled. It was a real smile, warm and genuine. The council remains, but it changes. Every species gets an equal voice. Every species gets a vote, including the ones you have conquered, including us. Velkoth considered the terms. They were harsh but not cruel. They demanded change but not destruction. They offered justice without revenge. Some council members will not accept this, he warned. They will see it as surrender. Some council members will need to be convinced. Vance acknowledged. We are patient. We have waited centuries for this moment. We can wait a little longer. She placed a hand on his silver limb. It was a strange sensation. Her skin was warm and soft against his metal surface. Go back to your council, High Arbiter. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them what we offer. And tell them that this is their only chance to choose a different future. Velkoth returned to the Citadel of Unity 3 days later. He stood before the council and reported everything he had witnessed. He showed them images of human worlds. He shared data on human technology. He explained the terms of peace. The reaction was mixed. Some council members were relieved. The Velmori, humiliated by the failed invasion, were eager to end the conflict. The smaller species, who had always resented Sindari dominance, saw an opportunity for change, but others were furious. Representative Dralkun of the Morvathi rose to his feet, mandibles clicking in rage. You ask us to surrender to children. You ask us to bow to a species that has existed for barely a moment. This is a disgrace. It is survival. Velkoth replied calmly. The humans could destroy us. They choose not to. That is not weakness. That is mercy. Mercy, Dralkun spat. They mock us with their mercy. They humiliate us by sparing lives we would have taken. I say we fight. I say we gather every ship, every weapon, every soldier, and we show these humans what the Galactic Council truly is. The chamber erupted in argument. Species shouted at each other. Ancient alliances cracked under the pressure. Velkoth watched it all with tired eyes. Finally, he raised his silver limb, and the chamber fell silent. Let me tell you what the Galactic Council truly is, he said slowly. We are old. We are powerful. We have ruled this region of space for 60,000 years. And in all that time, we have never asked ourselves a simple question. Should we? He looked around the chamber at the representatives of 12 mighty civilizations. We have enslaved billions. We have erased cultures. We have murdered species who never threatened us, simply because they might threaten us one day. We call this strength. We call this wisdom. But the humans have a different word for it. He paused. They call it fear. The chamber was utterly silent. The humans were afraid of us, Velkoth continued. They knew what we would do to them. They prepared for war for 300 years. And when the moment came, when they had the power to destroy us completely, they offered us peace instead. He turned to face Dralkun directly. They are offering us the chance to be better than we have been. They are offering us the chance to build something new, something that is not based on fear and power and destruction. His voice softened. When was the last time anyone offered us that? The vote took 3 hours. It was the longest vote in council history. Old alliances broke and new ones formed. Species that had been enemies for millennia found common ground. And when the final count was made, the result was clear. The council would accept humanity's terms. The signing ceremony took place on Earth, in a great hall built for the occasion. Representatives from 12 council species stood alongside delegates from 400 human worlds. Admiral Helena Vance stood at the center, next to High Arbiter Velkoth. Today we begin something new, she announced to the gathered crowd. Today we stop being enemies and start being partners. It will not be easy. There is too much history between us, too much pain, too much distrust. But every journey begins with a single step. She looked at Velkoth. The Galactic Council tried to threaten Earth, she said, and humanity had other plans. Our plan was not conquest. Our plan was not revenge. Our plan was this moment, right here, right now, the moment when we proved that there is another way. Velkoth stepped forward. For the first time in 10,000 years, he felt something like hope. The humans have shown us what true strength looks like, he said. It is not the power to destroy. It is the power to choose. Today, we choose peace. Today, we choose partnership. Today, we choose to become worthy of the future we want to build. He extended his silver limb toward Admiral Vance. She took it in her small, warm hand, and the galaxy began again.